All right, one more week in Esther, as promised. I want to look at the book in the broader scope of the story. But to do that, we're going to look at the last chapter. So it's a very short chapter. It's how God chooses to end this book. And does anybody want to read it? Just 3 verses? Any volunteers? 3 verses? All right, Mike.
King Xerxes imposed tribute throughout the empire to its distant shores, and all his acts of power and might, together with the full account of the greatness of Mordecai, whom the king had promoted, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Media and Persia? Mordecai the Jew was second in rank to King Xerxes, preeminent among the Jews and held in high esteem by his many fellow Jews, because he worked for the good of his people and spoke up for the welfare of all the Jews.
Okay, I mean, as he reads that, I mean, to me, that sounds pretty positive about Mordecai. Anybody disagree with that? I mean, he's held in high esteem, he's preeminent, he speaks up for the good of his people. Sounds like everyone likes him, right? I mean, it's what it seems like, and it seems like just in general, like this is capping off this story, like the empire's going great. Mordecai's doing great. Like we finished out the story, everything's great. And let me see if I can change your mind about that a little bit. It turns out this is a little more complicated than it's rendered here. So we start off, King Xerxes imposed tribute throughout the empire. Taxes. Is that good? Taxes. And it turns out actually not taxes. This word tribute, what it means is to force a people into forced labor. To dominate a people into forced labor. You look at how it's used throughout the Old Testament, that's what it means. And the reason I rebuff at taxes, to me, taxes are like, you live in this kingdom, you got to give us a little bit. You got to give us a percentage of what you make. Tribute is all of it. You're giving me everything. And if you think about it, this original audience, now by this time it's not Israel that has just come out of Egypt, right? This is Israel in exile, or maybe sometime after that. But like their ancestors, like they lived in Egypt, they were slaves, but they were slaves through bricks. The arrangement was you make bricks, right? It's not like, hey, you do everything I say because you're my slave and I direct everything you do. It's that you make bricks, but like it's a lot of bricks. In fact, like this number of bricks is set so that it's like it's everything. This is all you can do is make bricks. You are forced into labor through bricks. And so the tribute might be stuff, but it's all of the stuff. And so if you're original audience and you hear he imposed tribute throughout the empire, is this positive? No. To its distant shores. And all his acts of power and might. Now that sounded good the first time. We were like, oh, they had taxes and he's great. He forced everyone into slavery and he was great and mighty. That's great. But Mordecai the Jew is preeminent. Now he gets tied to this. He's his second in command. He's his closest advisor. Is Mordecai looking great? It's complicated. It's nuanced. Let's keep going. Because this last verse. Mordecai the Jew was second in rank to King Xerxes. Preeminent. That's great. First time that's used is God made the greater and the lesser light to rule the earth. He's great among the Jews and held in high esteem by his many fellow Jews. This translation not helping us. Let's start with Mordecai the Jew. What does it mean? What does a Jew mean? When we say Jew today, what do we mean?
Like a Jewish nation.
Jewish nation. And who is that specifically? Who specifically? Well, a nation is generally people that live within a certain area. That's not really what we mean. It's certainly not with the Jews, because they're a diaspora and they have a nation. But like, that's not what we mean by Jew. What do we mean by Jew? There's a lot of them that don't worship anything. we mean a child of Jacob. That's what we mean by Jew today. When we say Jew, we mean a child of Jacob. Is that what it meant here? And the answer is no. That's not what they meant by Jew. So after Solomon, by the way, I get Solomon vibes out of this whole chapter. After Solomon, the kingdom splits. We have a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom. And the northern kingdom is called Israel. And the southern kingdom is called Judah. And if you live in Judah, then you would be a Judean. We don't like 3 syllables. So if your name has got 3 or more syllables, guess what you're getting? A nickname. We're going to shorten it. And if you shorten Judean, guess what it gets shortened to? Jew. At this time, and that's how the term originally started, it means a Judean, and then over time, it came to mean all of the children of Jacob. So at this time, though, when they're using it, it's a Judean. Now, who are the Judean? Which 2 tribes are in Judah? I mean, obviously Judah. Anybody know the other one? Benjamin. Judah and Benjamin. It's talking specifically about Judah and Benjamin. And then he was held in high esteem, it says, by his many fellow Jews. It's not Jews. It's actually what it says is by many brothers. Oh no, wait a minute. Now who's his brothers? His brothers are going to be all of the tribes. So Mordecai the Judean is, say, favored by many of his brothers. Now, when I put it that way, does that kind of change it a bit? This says, held in high esteem by his many fellow Jews. Some of your translations might say, by the multitude of Jews. But when I say by many of his brothers, what does that mean? Not all of them. Not all of them, some of them. All right, now we got to get into this word esteem. And now we can bring up our slide. There's 2 words that would mean favored. So on the left, we have hang. The first H-E-N is the transliteration. Hain is the how it's pronounced. And it means viewed with favor. And it is used many times. All throughout Torah, first 5 books, it's used when a man views another man with favor. Laban views Jacob with favor. Noah found favor in God's eyes. Either God is viewing someone with favor or a person is viewing another person with favor. And 6 times throughout Torah, whenever it says, if it pleases the king, or Esther was pleasing to the king, hain, favor. But there's this other word, ratzal. It more means restored to favor. Okay, throughout Torah, it's used 1 time in Genesis 33. We'll get to that one. Then it's used in Leviticus. All of the sacrifices, when they are accepted by God, they are ratzaled by God. Or if they're done wrong, they're not ratzaled by God. It has to do with atonement. It's sacrifices. And then it's used twice in the blessings of the children that are in Deuteronomy. If it's used from a man to a man, it generally means like a man is forgiving a man. And then it's used 1 time in Esther, which is in this verse. But we got to go back to Genesis 33, verse 10. Oh, because it's beautiful. But it's going to tell us something about this word. And let me just read this for us. This is when Jacob is coming back to Esau. He had fled to the homeland, to like his relatives' land. He's got his 2 wives and the 2 concubines, and he's got his part of his family now. They're coming back, all of his stuff, but he's scared of Esau. He's terrified of Esau, and he thinks Esau is going to kill him, and he's got this plan. He's split all of his stuff up into 2 camps so that some of them can flee if he attacks the one. He sent this huge gift out to Esau, but Esau accepts him. And just before this, Esau's like, what's all this stuff? Jacob's like, it's a present to you. Esau's like, you don't need to give me a present. Like, I don't need more sheep anyway. I have plenty, you keep it. And then Jacob says, no, please, said Jacob. If I have found Hain, if I am pleasing to you, accept this gift from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God now that you have wrought me. Because you accepted me back. Because I found favor in your eyes after you were ready to kill me. Seeing you is like seeing the face of God. And boy, I'm trying really hard not to go to Luke 15. But to forgive your brother after he has wronged you is to be like God. That's what wrought is. All right, before I get started on 15, let's get back to Esther here, okay? Mordecai, the Judean, the one from this Benjamite Judah kingdom, was wrought, was accepted back by many of his brothers. What? And like, I see why they translated it this way. They're like, what in the world is going on here? Like, that doesn't even make sense, okay? That doesn't make sense. Let's just translate this thing so like everybody liked him. But that's not what's going on. That's not what's going on. It's not what's going on because us as Westerners, we have trouble looking at this story. Like, we look at the story and we're like, the story is about Esther and Mordecai and Haman and King Xerxes, right? That's what the story is about. And the rest of the Jews are like sort of involved because they're all gonna die, but they don't. When the original audience sees this story, they're like, this is about Saul. This is about Amalek. This is about our family. This is about the rift in our family. Johnson, have you used the word remez yet? Okay.
Maybe, but I don't know if we have. We definitely need a reminder.
Okay. A remez is this technique that the Bible uses that Jesus is going to go ham on remez. It's calling you back to an earlier part of the story, okay? And I got really excited in Esther 4 because I realized that 10,000 talents of silver was a remez. I never would have if Mordecai hadn't pointed it out. Like, look at the amount of money. Look at the amount of money. It would have been really hard to see if he hadn't done that. Remez calls you back to a different part of the story to say this is what this is about. And it's very important to the Eastern people, to that audience, because they're going to see this thing in their whole history. They're going to see this in my family, in my tribe, in my nation. What is this story about? Rather than we're like characters. We fixate on the lead character, the protagonist, the antagonist. That's what a story is about to us. Not to these people. Remezes call you back to earlier parts of the story. And it gets in the same way that chiasms get more complicated, and there are chiasms of chiasms and chiasms of chiasms of chiasms and chiasms that are overlaid with chiasms. The remezes get very beautiful as well. And like I said, Jesus is going to go. He's going ham on remezes. But it turns out that this story is connected to a bunch of other stories in complicated ways. So let's go to our next slide. This verse, and it's a stretch to say that this is a remez, back to that verse. It's not a huge stretch, but it's a little bit of a stretch to say that this verse is a remez back to the Jacob and Esau thing. I would say it is, but I'm reaching, okay? But it's reminding us that there's a rift in this family. It's absolutely doing that, whether it's a remez or not. It's reminding us that there's a rift in this family, and some of his brothers have accepted him back. Now, more immediately, right, what do we mean by like, there's a rift? When I say there's a rift in the family at this point where they're in exile, like, what do I mean about that? The kingdoms had split. Okay, after Solomon, there's a rift, a very literal rift in that we have two different kingdoms. And one of them goes in exile to a completely different people, and then the southern kingdom gets conquered by a different empire, okay? And there is a rift in this family, and when it says that some of his brothers, many of his brothers accepted him back, it's like, we've like healed this rift a little bit. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. But it's reminding you that not everyone, and the fact that like we've got to repair this family. This family's broken, and we got to put it back together somehow. And Mordecai did some work there. Mordecai made some progress getting them back. But if we go back to where it started, and it's going to point us back here to Jacob and Esau. There's a rift between these two brothers. Whose fault is it? It's Jacob's fault. And his older brother accepts him back. Now, you could go back further, because if we go back a generation, is there a rift in the family? Absolutely. Between Isaac and Ishmael, there's a rift. And of course, if we go back, Cain and Abel have a rift, right? So there's like, and really between Adam and Eve, there's a rift, because there's a lot of finger pointing going on. So there's like rifts between all people, but specifically in this family, there's a rift. There's a rift between Jacob and Esau. But what about among his children? Like, do we have, like, are his children all one big happy family, or are there like sides of the family? We got some jealousy going on, and we read about it as soon as they're being born. There's a rift between the mothers, between Rachel and Leah, right? We read about that. And then it goes on down to the children. And Foreman has this talk that's just incredible, where he ties together the stories of Dinah, the culling of Benjamin, as I'm calling it, and Saul rescues Jabesh Gilead. These stories are all connected in subtle but multiple ways. There are several things throughout these stories that are tying them together. They're remezes. And it's more complicated than just like this story's calling you back to this other story. It's tying them all together. But I want you to, I kind of want to go through this with you. The violation of Dinah. What is that story about? When we taught it, it's like, well, it's vengeance, and is it right to slaughter this whole village because of what they did to Dinah? And it leaves that question to you, is it right? But if you dig into that story, it's also about the rift in this family, because the brothers are upset with their father because he is not standing up for Dinah. They're upset. They're like, you should be mad about this. You should be doing something. But Jacob is silent.
He's worried about his name. Look at what you have done to me.
Look at what you have done to me. And specifically, he makes himself death. You remember that? Specifically, he makes himself death to what's going on here. And he doesn't speak. He waits until the sun goes down. He doesn't speak against the action of what this other party has done within the time that he's supposed to do it. And his brothers are angry with him. And why do they think he's doing this? What's underneath this whole thing that they're like, you're not standing up for Dinah? And the story points it out when it says that Dinah is a daughter of Leah. And which brothers specifically are angry about this? Leah's children are angry about this. And this undertone is that, like, we know you like Rachel. We know you like Joseph. We know Benjamin is your little baby boy that you love the most. And we know that you really see Joseph as your Behor. And he's the one that you're looking at. But stand up for our sister. She's your daughter too. And why can't you be angry? There's a rift in this family that we see in that story. That story gets tied to the culling of Benjamin at the end of Judges. And the thing about it, because you got to pick up some things along the way, because Daddy doesn't want to let Benjamin go down to Egypt. It's like, Joseph's gone. There's no way you're taking Benjamin down there until somebody stands up for him. Somebody takes the responsibility and says, I'll take responsibility for him. And who is it? Judah. And these two are going to get tied together. They're in the southern kingdom down there together. Benjamin and Judah are going to get tied together because when they go down there, Joseph's got this whole plot. I'm going to take Benjamin with me, and you all can just go off somewhere because I don't care about you. I want you out of my life. I want my brother until Judah says, take me and let him go because his father loves him. And this breaks Joseph. Literally, he breaks down when this happens. And then he says, bring everybody down. Bring everybody down. But his father too, by the way. Like when he wants Benjamin, he's like, you all go back to father. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see you ever again. Until Judah stands up for Benjamin. And then he says, let's all come down and be a happy family down here in Egypt. Okay? When we get to the end of Judges, Benjamin almost gets annihilated. And who goes up first to attack them? Judah. See what it's doing here? And so there's this beautiful thing where it's like they're incensed because of what has happened, because of this repeat of Sodom and Gomorrah. And they're like, you got to give that town over. And Benjamin's like, no, that's not how it works here. We'll deal with this. And so all of Israel comes together and they say, who should go up first to attack them? They don't ask, should we go attack them? They say, who should go up first to attack them? And what does God say? God says, Judah should go up to Benjamin. What do you think he's telling them? What do you think? Why pick Judah? Why pick Judah? The tribe that stood up for Benjamin and said, take me and not him. Let's let that tribe go up to Benjamin. God's sending a message there. God's sending a message. They don't get it because they go and they attack Benjamin. They get whooped. What do you think God is trying to tell them when they get whooped? That's not what I meant. I didn't mean go attack them. But then they're like, should we go up again? Oh yeah, go up again. Go up again. Maybe you'll get it right this time. No, they don't get it right this time. They go and attack them again. They get whooped again. The third time they go. And they almost destroy Benjamin. And then God's saying, like, yeah, if you're going to keep doing this, it's going to lead to destruction. But it leads to this repentance. This, oh my, what have we done? What have we done? We've almost wiped out a tribe. There's only 600 of them left. We have to save them. So it does actually lead to like, we're going to make some progress towards fixing the family. And that story is tied to the Dinah story through both this donkey reference. By the way, the name of the guy, the name of the Shechemites is Donkey. And this guy in the story, he's got a donkey with him when he goes down to get his concubine. And they're tied together in other ways. But they end up getting some of the wives for Benjamin from Jabesh Gilead because Jabesh Gilead didn't go up for them. And they go and they destroy Jabesh Gilead, all except for the young women, which they have 400 of them, so that they get wives for 400 of these 600 Benjamites. And we go to our next story. When Israel asks for a king, God is going to rebuff them in a couple ways. One of them, Saul, is going to get tied to donkeys, right? What is he? He's a donkey herder. We're tying these stories together again. And God's trying to tell them, like, well, hey, if y'all are going to be stubborn like donkeys, apparently I need a donkey herder to lead you. And what tribe are we going to get him from? From Benjamin, of all places, right? The tribe you almost wiped out. The tribe that you so revile, that the Benjamin's on the outs. I mean, he was on the outs with you from the beginning because he was a little baby brother. And I'm a baby brother. And like, I know, like, baby brothers, they get their older brothers in trouble. They got like a little power to do that. And like, they're mama's baby. Mama's baby. And you use that. And like, he was like, he's got that. And he's the last child. He's the child that Rachel has that she died to give birth to him. Okay, yeah, so yes, they're jealous of this baby brother, and then he does wrong, and then they about wipe him out, and then God's like, yeah, we'll take a Benjamite. We'll make him king. How does he get chosen? By casting lots. We got to cast lots to find Saul, this Benjamite. What is our story? What is our holiday going to be called? It's going to be called Lot. Lots. Casting lots is a key part of this story. All of these stories are tied together. Saul gets anointed king, but he doesn't really become king. Right? The next time we find him, he's herding the cattle. Is that what kings do? Are they out in the field herding cattle? No, they haven't really accepted him as king, except this foreign power comes and they threaten who? But Jabesh Gilead. This foreign king comes over and he takes this little town that had been destroyed not too long before. And he comes and he surrounds them and they're like, we can't resist you. What do you want? Whatever you want, we're going to have to do it because we can't resist you. And, well, we'll get to that. So the kings, so they're like, what do you want? And he's like, I'll make peace if you come and I poke out all of your right eyes. If I gouge out all of your right eyes. And they're like, oh, this is horrible. Like, why? That just doesn't even make sense. Why? And they're like, give us 7 days to go find someone that will help us. Now, if you're a king who's going to take over this little city, and they're like, hey, could you give us 7 days to go find somebody to help us fight you? What are you going to say? No way. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. Why would I do that? Nobody's leaving. Nobody's getting out to go look for help. But what does this king say? Sure. Of course. Go ahead. Why would he say that? Why would he say that? He's like, you can go talk to whoever you want to. Who is going to help you? Why? Because the only people that are more reviled than Benjamin at this point is Jabesh Gilead. The only people in that story of the culling of Benjamin that are worse than Benjamin are the people of Jabesh Gilead. And you see what this king is doing as well. He's like, these Israelites over there, they've selected a king, but they selected a Benjamite, and they haven't even really made him king. He's not living in a palace somewhere. He's herding cattle. I'm going to go poke them. I'm going to go see if they're really united around this king. Because if they would all band together and come and fight me, they could take me out. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that. So let me go pick on this town that none of them like. And let me take over it first. And I'll throw them all into disarray. I will have them separate. They will not be together if I do this. That's what the king's doing. And that's why he's like, yeah, let everyone know what's going on here. That's the whole point. I want everyone to know what I'm doing. But word gets to Saul. And Saul's like, you are not attacking my brother. I don't care what my brother has done. No foreign king is going to come and gouge out the eyes of my brother. And he gets a bull. And what does he do with it? He cuts it up into pieces and he sends a piece out to each tribe. Now remember that from the culling of Benjamin? Cuts up the concubine, sends out a piece to each tribe. But Benjamin's not doing an abomination at this point. He's calling them together. And he says, we got to stand together and we have to go fight for our brother. And he does. And the people come and support him. And who brings the most warriors to the fight, do you think? Judah. Of course, Judah is his biggest supporter. We're fixing the family again. And so you might say, like, everything's great, right? But does everything stay great with Saul? No. Why? When does it go downhill? When does Saul fall apart? Anybody remember the story? He's jealous of David, but when is... Yes, when? When? You remember when? The what? Well, before that, was Samuel still alive? Samuel is the one, he goes and he grabs Samuel's robe, remember, and it tears, and Samuel's the one that says the kingdom has been torn from you. And this happens after Saul goes to fight Agag. Why does this story point out 5 times that Haman is an Agagite? The downfall of Saul. And so Agag is the king, but what is the nation that he's going to fight? It's Amalek. Amalek, if you don't remember, when the Israelites were coming, they were in the wilderness, they're traveling through the wilderness over towards the promised land, and there's these people that come to attack them, but they don't come and attack them head on. They go to the back where all of the old and the children and the weak are, and they attack them from the back. And God says, we got to wipe them out. By the way, if you've seen the animated David, Amalek are the ones that, like, they're wearing like the horns covered. They don't even look human. They're portrayed as like these wicked animals because of what they did. And God says you got to wipe them out. And God told Saul, you have got to go wipe out the Amalekites. You don't leave anyone alive. You don't take anything with you. But Saul goes, he wins the battle, but he leaves Agag alive. And he brings back the best of the sheep. And when he goes to Samuel, Samuel's like, what is this bleeding in my ears? Saul's like, what? I did what you said. I told you to destroy everything and you didn't do it. And Samuel turns to leave, and that's when Saul grabs his robe and it tears. And Samuel says, the kingdom has been torn from you and given to one who is more worthy. Esther is Saul's great-granddaughter. What is this story about? We have got to redeem Saul. We have to redeem Saul, and we got to put this family back together. Now, does Esther redeem Saul? Yes. They get rid of the Agagite. They get rid of his 10 sons. They take over his whole house. We've gotten rid of the Agagite. Have we put the family back together? Sort of. Many Rotsawed him, accepted him back, but not all of them. All right, I did all the talking. Anybody have any questions or comments? It's one big story that the Bible is telling, all of it together with these remezes. Somebody's coming who's going to put the family back together. At least she's going to try really hard. Can't wait to get to him. We got some more Old Testament before we get there.